Howdy, everyone. First, I would like to thank everyone for coming today. I know how busy everybody's schedule is. I'm a new mother this semester, so a double applause to all the parents who made it here. I have a new appreciation for the time crunch that you face, and I really do appreciate you coming. I also want to pause for a moment to thank Dr. Walter Edwards for arranging this forum. I find it to be an amazingly vibrant community on campus, one of the most vibrant communities that I've found on campus. I appreciate it. Last semester I attended all the time. I plan on doing that again next semester, attending a lot more often, and I really appreciate having this forum, which allows us to share ideas and benefit from each other. And finally, I would like to thank Wei Han, who is sitting to my left. She's my research assistant, and she has done an immense amount of footwork to help me get this presentation together, which is a project that is in progress. And so she has just done great work, and I've asked her to interject and correct me when I go off topic or say something that's not quite accurate, and also during the Q&A she will also be happy to answer questions. So she's become an expert whether or not she wants in the topic. And as you all know, the topic today is state tolerance in the informal labor market in China. And what I want to do is give you, hold on, sorry. Okay, I want to start by giving you an outline of the talk to help you follow along, because I can be scattered. Helps me follow along too. I'll start by introducing the topic, how I got interested in it, why I'm studying it. I'll then move on to talk and describe China's informal economy, labor market to you and the informal economy. I'll discuss the concept of state tolerance and how I want to improve this concept. And then I'll present some preliminary data that we have and give you some conclusions, what little you can conclude at this point in the project. So my interest in the informal labor market in China really started with my first research project, which was my dissertation, which was on migrant construction workers in China who were working in the informal labor market. And what I found with that project, which is very fascinating, and I have presented that work in various forums at Wayne State, so I'm not presenting that work again. But what I found was that the informal market really looked quite different in different cities. So you could be in one city and you would see lots of workers in the street looking for work in what I call street labor markets, sort of like day laborers in America. And then in other cities, maybe the workers were in enclaves and using their social networks to find jobs. And so the informal labor market took a very different shape and different configuration in different cities. And I wanted to understand why it took this different shape in different cities and why it was different sizes in different cities. So what I realized that to understand this, I had to understand the relationship between the state and the informal labor market. And hence, I am on this path to this project. And just a few more things I should say about this project. One, it's in progress. So today's talk is really about a work that I'm forming, and I'm hoping to get your feedback and your ideas and draw off of the knowledge in the room to help me move it forward. And also that it's part of a larger project. Today I'm going to really look at state tolerance and talk about this idea of state tolerance. But again, the larger project is to link that up to how it shapes the informal economy in different places. So let me give you some definitions about the informal economy. It's used by many scholars, but it means many different things. The way I'm using it is to include all activity in the economy that's remunerated, which means it's paid for, but it's hidden from the state. Either they don't pay taxes, they don't follow labor law, etc. Now, this definition excludes two very important sectors in the informal economy. First, the household sector, and second, the criminal sector. Now, I feel justified in excluding those in my study because the underlying mechanisms and processes in those sectors are quite different, which justifies studying them as separate sectors of the informal economy. And I'm actually interested in the informal labor market, which is an aspect of the informal economy, right? So I'm interested in precarious work, and those people who work in the informal economy, in the informal labor market, face precarious work, and I'll explain that in a moment. But my point here is that I'm not studying the whole informal economy and all aspects of it. I'm really going to focus on the labor market aspect of the informal economy. So let me describe the informal economy, the informal labor market in China. It is huge. It is the fastest growing segment of the labor market in China. So all the growth we hear about in China, a good portion of it is happening in the informal economy. In the cities, there are 283 million people who are employed in the cities. And of that, 168 million of them are working in the informal economy, which is 60% of the urban labor force, and then 20% of the overall labor force. So it's very important, especially to China's urban economy. Another important point is who are these people working in the informal economy? A big percentage, oh no, I don't think the Chinese. I have Chinese characters in my presentation, which might not come up properly, it looks like, on this operating system. So I think that Nongmingong, which is the most common word used to describe the peasant worker or the migrants in China, they represent the biggest portion of workers in the informal economy. There are estimated, well, now in 2009, it's supposedly over 200 million migrants in China. So it's a huge portion of the population, probably 15%. But they are not the only people in the informal economy. It's important to note that there are also laid-off workers, shagong, and unemployed end up in the informal economy, and then retired folks, especially older women, end up in the informal economy. And so that's who's in the informal economy. And in terms of the labor market, as I said, I'm interested in the folks in the labor market because they face what I call precarious work. And what that means is that the wages and the working conditions are really crappy, really bad compared to workers in the formal economy. So, for example, if we use migrants as a proxy for the informal economy because they represent such a big portion, you can see that they get paid less than half of workers who are in the formal economy. And they work longer hours, at least 11, 12 hours a day. They don't take weekends. They work through the weekends. And they don't get benefits. So it's a very, that's what I mean when I talk about precarious work in the informal economy. Now, why this matters, I want to talk for a moment why it matters that you have a lot of workers in the informal economy. And specifically, why would China care, right? Because they have been growing at an amazing clip. So who cares if they have an informal economy as long as that's helping them continue to grow and continue to gain economic and political power? Well, it might be of concern to the government because these poor wages and working conditions, if there's too many people facing those conditions and they're really bad, they might actually protest these conditions. And China's government really cares about political stability, right? So they call it social stability. It's number one top concern, has been since they came into power. And if too many people are facing these conditions, they protest. And we've seen that, right? We've heard about workers working in factories under Japanese owners and protesting and striking. And, this happens more and more. The numbers of mass protests in China are going up. And part of this is related to these precarious working conditions. So the government, this is important to the government for that reason. And another reason, not only can they not regulate the process of production, but they can't regulate the products. So you have things being produced that are very questionable. And we've heard about, toys being imported with lead paint, or products when you're in China, you buy something, it doesn't work, so they can't regulate the quality of production, which becomes a big issue in the newspapers. So